Hello again. Yes, we are back to answer questions now about college financial aid. Not the step 1, 2, 3, but the step at the very end that you need to check and triple check and maybe check again. So whether your rate got accepted, you're waiting for decisions, all the above, we are here to help you. So let's get started. What you're seeing right now from the Department of Education is a sample financial aid award letter. Yes, you will get different ones. As you can see over here, a lot of times they have a student ID number, and they'll talk about the cost of attendance, right? The tuition, the fees, the room and board, the transportation, personal expenses. Now, these tuition fees and room and board are direct expenses to the colleges. And these other ones, right, you're not going to pay the airlines for your flight, or you're going to pay, for that deodorant at the, Target store next door. You're not going to pay that for the campus, but you pay it from the store. So these are what I call direct costs, and these are indirect costs. And this will vary for every campus. I mean, I'm looking at this total cost of attendance, $20,000, like, where do you find that in California? But there are some schools out of state that do have those price tags. Now, let's look at here. So what we're seeing here is an award letter. And why is this broken up into different terms? Well, if your student is going to a semester school, this will be broken up in two. So you want to know, like, hey, are the payments due by semester, quarterly, or do they have a payment plan? A few colleges can provide that. Again, to reach out to the financial aid award letter. Now, remember, whether you're a senior or a freshman right now, or just trying to see what college financial aid looks like, anytime you see the word grant, that means free money that you demonstrated you need, not you want it. That's need. And then these loans are for the students. This is through the federal government. So subsidized means that the government will pay for the interest while you're in school full-time. Unsubsidized accumulates while you're in college. Now, do know that some colleges do expect students to work over the summer, so you have to be prepared for that. And you do need to read everything on here. Now, you may say, well, wait a minute, but I need more. Like, this family got a total $13,000. Where are they supposed to get that $7,000? That's more maybe than you pay for now for school. Well, that's where every school has a certain budget or limit. Let's talk about that a little bit further. So as you're looking at different costs of different schools, whether it's Stanford, USC, you name it, there's going to be a lot of different colleges information that's out there. And there's a lot of information. Like, this is a website from Wells Fargo Bank. And yeah, they'll give you useful information, understanding cost of attendance minus the gift aid, the free money, and that's your net cost. But remember, why are they giving you this information? Well, some places would love for you to get a loan through the bank where you have higher rates. So be careful and mindful, what is the intention of the information. All this information is at the student government website, but here you can see it here at Wells Fargo, it's really straightforward information. Like, work study is like a part-time job on campus. It's not guaranteed, but it's spending money. The student can't really use it because they earn it while they're going through the years. A lot of times your tuition is due, or housing, before the semester, before the quarter begins. There is Parent Plus loans through the federal government that you can get, parents, that's in your name, and that's at an interest rate that does get accumulated as you're going through that. So do know that you're all going to get different college offers. Some schools will have more money, like this College B, right? It's $45,000 versus this other College A is only $40,000. Now, the need for this one family is the same, but every school's pocketbook is a little bit different. And let's just say if your student really wants to go to College A, but you need that extra $5,000, you can appeal to the colleges and let them know. But let's take a pause for a minute. We're talking about the award letters. What if you haven't received it? Did you, the student, do everything? Remember, they're treating you like a young adult, so they're not going to follow up. They expect you for each of the campus you apply to. Yes, each UC, each Cal State, each private school, each out-of-state public school, you need to check your to-do list. So let's pretend this is your portal to Stanford. Did you check your to-do list? I cannot tell you how many seniors who have not checked their to-do list to make sure it's complete. Sometimes you may have a scholarship that you're not aware of. This is something they need to do annually. I remember a student got into their dream school, USC, got the financial aid they received, forgot the following year they had to-do list, and guess what? They weren't able to continue at USC because they forgot their to-do list. So you prioritizing the time and making sure once a week you're checking your portals to make sure everything's okay with admissions before you get the acceptance letter, and then your financial aid. Now, again, cost of attendance is going to vary. This is from University of Southern California. So some schools will have different pricing, and you want to check with the schools what is best regarding about the housing options. You can see there's these asterisks. So these are just standard meals. So sometimes you could save a few hundred, maybe 1,000. You have maybe a triple, or sometimes a meal plan. Sometimes there's too much meals. Like I know I have a kid who used Tupperware and stores all the food because buffet style on there. So, but there's always a limitation. Now, USC is a gorgeous campus, but is also a school that has a budget, meaning they don't have, necessarily the funds for everything, but they do have some generous financial aid offers and scholarships out there. But you have to check, does it meet your need? Have you checked that net price calculator from that campus? So we already talked about, doing the to-do list, checking the award. And what you need to understand is, what is this cost going to be? So here's an example from another government website. Understand the cost of attendance, right? So, what does it really cost to come out there? And also, what does that cost mean for you? Here are other free money opportunities. Remember, this is free, free, free. And then after that, there are loans. Now you may say, well, where is my scholarships? Well, remember, we're at the downsides of the bell curve where there's, there are some scholarships out there, but they're becoming less and less because the peak of them were during the application season. And so that's something to be aware of. Like, if you're thinking about going to graduate school, does it make sense to take out loans, right? If there's a school that you're looking at and you have another sibling coming along the way, well, remember, cost of attendance is going to vary through each of the campuses. So it's really important to be mindful what your family can do and then can't do in the financial process. Okay, so now let's kind of look at some other articles I wanted to show. So let's say you did get the financial aid award letter. This is from U.S. News and Report. Yes, that website that does a lot of, rankings that's out there, but they also give some good tips. If you get a financial aid award letter, hopefully they don't make you do a subscription like it showed up here, but you can appeal your award letter. Start by calling the financial aid office, ask if there's any certain information, gather your documents. You can't just say, this is what I want, but demonstrate what you need. Maybe you applied to school that used the federal methodology, just the FAFSA. Well, it didn't ask about all my medical expenses. Maybe there's other special circumstances that just change in your family. Remember, they use your prior year for tax information, and things have recently changed. So there's a lot of information. And again, remember, U.S. News and Report is a for-profit magazine, so why are you getting all these advertisements? Oh, because they want your loan money, and these are called non-Title V loans that are not protected by the U.S. federal government regarding about checking on interest rates. So remember, you can appeal a letter. You want to act on that quickly, because remember, May 1st is the national deadline to register for one college campus. Now, before the Obama administration went out, they were trying to make it an easy way for students to read financial aid award letters. Unfortunately, a lot of colleges like, no, we don't want to do that. And so it's made it really complicated. So when you see, the word self-help, that means the student is getting a job. This is what the federal government has told the colleges. what they need paid for. Pretty soon we call this a student index with the new FAFSA that's coming out for 24-25. And then this is all this money that you will have to pay back. Is that reasonable? Does that make sense? If it's a struggle for the family, is that really the best decision, considering there are a lot of different college options that are out there? This is what the Obama administration was trying to do, is to find one place. It's simple. Here how much it costs. This is the free money. This is your net price. This is work study. These are all these out of cost. And then they were going to put on here the graduation rate in 6 years. Like, hey, how many people are graduating in 4 years? I don't want my kid to spend a 5th or 6th year there. How are kids paying back? What is the return on investment? But that didn't pass. So let's look at one that did pass through the Obama administration. The College Score Card is a website where you compare different schools. I put Hofstra in New York, Dominican here in California, and St. Lawrence also in New York. Here you could see the average costs for families, whether they're high income or low, and what's the actual cost of attendance. A little bit cheaper than the full price of a UC, some even cheaper. Cheaper than a Cal State like St. Lawrence University. But what's a graduation rate? Oh, well, St. Lawrence University is starting to look really good right now, right? And then what is the earnings students make after they leave college, right? Let's say they do have that student loan, right? That subsidized loan that's going to start accumulating interest. Oh, okay, well, it's a little bit different answer, right? Because Dominican has a great nursing program. Hofstra has some great programs both in business and in STEM, right? But I do know some students who graduate from St. Lawrence doing very well, close to this figure. But this is a good way of seeing, is this school going to help my child, help me to get out of the school successfully in a job placement without being in huge debt? You got to do your homework on that. And then keep in mind, when sometimes families look at these out-of-state public schools and wonder why, wait a minute, why are these schools just so expensive? Well, the reason why these out-of-state public schools are not looking like this, because you're not from that state. So keep that in mind, that when you're applying to an out-of-state public school and you're not from that state, you haven't been putting tax dollars in there. So the free money goes to residential students. Sometimes there will be some scholarships, right? But sometimes it may just, the max may have a max of $5,000. That does not include private schools. So if it's an out-of-state private school, remember, they can make their own decision how to do that. Okay, now again, let's just do a refresher. If it's a scholarship, even if you win the mega lotto, you're a billionaire, you still get this. But is there a certain GPA requirement, certain participation? Is it 1 year every 4 years? You need to ask those questions. Contact the financial aid office. The grant money, talk to them like, hey, if I do the new FAFSA form next year, will I still be eligible if my family income and assets are the same? Gotta contact the financial aid office. Do know you may not need all these loans. Maybe you just need 1,000, maybe none. Can I do that? Yes, you can. When can you start applying for those work study jobs? Contact the financial aid office. And make sure this is not just affordable year 1, but year 2, 3, and 4. What doesn't get really articulated is that sometimes students tend not to continue at schools because the cost gets too much or the loans get too much. So you want to make sure there is a plan until you go into the workplace that makes it a healthy option for you and your family. Now, in case you're not a senior and you're looking at different schools, do know that there are some schools that give a lot of money that are not super selective. Yes, there's about 70 colleges like Connecticut College, Dartmouth meets full need. But let's just say you're that high middle income family, or your grades are not that strong to get into those schools. Well, there's some schools like University of Puget Sound that offer amazing scholarships, merit scholarship based on your talents. Some of them are academics, right? Some of them have a whole bunch of different lists. You want to check them out. And I wish I could say there's one master list for all of them. There isn't, but check each site, because a lot of the schools that meet 100% full need tend not to give merit scholarships. Remember, it doesn't matter if you're high income or low income, you are eligible. But I remember when I told a student about Puget Sound, they got accepted, so excited. I'm like, oh, did you apply for this scholarship? Because it was due December 1st. It was an extra application. They go, no. So isn't that something that's frustrating, right? Like could have had a better chance of making this a more affordable school if they did that extra work, if they checked that to-do list, right? And sometimes you have to create your own to-do list. That's why we are here, to help you with that. Again, about loans, do know here's the federal government website. There are scams out there, just like we want. And there's also some banks who are giving you good information, like we just saw the Wells Fargo one. However, they're not federally protected ones, right? Like the subsidized loan is and the unsubsidized loan. So it's important to know all the resources. Remember, this is your money. So you want to be involved because, right, would you rather get all these loans, or you rather have a down payment on a home or a car or a security deposit for moving in, right? You know, roommates are great, but after a certain point, roommates are roommates, right? So you want to look at all the different options. And then parents, if you're thinking about loans, look what I just put on the search menu. Should parents take out loans for colleges? And look at these articles that just popped up. No, right? And this is Forbes magazine, right? You know, there's a lot of legitimate websites that are talking about that because of inflation, retirement. Think about, right, unexpected costs that may occur in the family. So it's so really important things to keep in mind. And also keep in mind, if you are applying again for financial aid, remember it's every year you have to apply. This new FAFSA Simplification Act requires a lot of different changes. So if you have a business, even though it's less than 100 employees, they're going to ask you for the value of that business. If there's a blended family, they're going to ask for the parent who supports the student to report it. That's a new rule for FAFSA starting next year for 2024. If you have multiple kids in college, they're not going to address that as greater needs. There is some good news. Instead of 100 questions, I'll ask about 30 questions. If they'll definitely have more Pell Grant students, eligible grants that are out there. But Pell Grant is great, but it's $6,800, doesn't meet all those needs. And then also for us wonderful California students, look what I'm typing in, web grants for students. Click on there and see if you have those Cal grants. Free tuition at UC, Cal State, about $10,000 free money every year, but double check with your legislators. What are they voting on? Yes, this gets voted on every year, and this is some great free information that is eligible, whether you're doing the California Dream Act or the FAFSA application. So keep looking, keep asking, communicate, work with us. We're here to work with you because we're all about making sure to move you onward and upward together.